Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I have another family favorite recipe, and it is called poppy seed roll Mákos Bejgli. So what you will need for the dough recipe is 6 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, rind of 2 medium lemons, 2 cups of butter, 2 tablespoons of vegetable shortening, 1 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of vanilla, and 3 whole eggs, and 2 to 6 or more tablespoons of milk. So what I'm going to begin with is the actual filling first, and then I'm going to show you how the dough mixture is put together. So what I've done is I've finely ground down some poppy seeds with a poppy seed grinder, and I've got about approximately 5.5 cups of ground poppy seed. And so what I've done is I've added the rind of 2 medium lemons, and then I'm going to add my sugar. So 2 cups of sugar go into, and as you can see I've got the lemon rind in there in the poppy seed. So I've sort of ground that down, and I'm going to add some sugar to it. And then I'm going to add, so that's 2 cups of sugar, and 1 cup of seedless golden raisins, and then 3 or 4 tablespoons of vanilla. So I'm going to add the vanilla to it. And then I'm going to be adding the milk after, because what you want is a kind of like a paste type of a filling for this. So now this was a family favorite recipe of my grandmother and mother's. They would bake this primarily for Christmas celebration. So, and my grandmother would make this probably the day before Christmas, like it would be fresh, hot out of the oven. So this was a special treat for my Mom's family. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to begin to add some milk. So I'm just going to measure out. This is about 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to do 2, 3. I'm going to start off with 3 tablespoons of milk, and I'm using the whole milk today, and I'm just going to keep stirring that in. It's already smelling so fantastic with the lemon rind and the vanilla. Now I've used a poppy seed grinder. If you don't have a poppy seed grinder, you can also use a coffee grinder to do that. You're not going to get as fine of a texture with it. And the reason why you grind the poppy seed is to get smoother texture, and also to bring out the oils of the poppy seed. And this is looking a little bit dry yet, so I've already used, because you want it to be sticking together, because you're going to be putting that onto your dough, because you're going to be rolling out the dough into a rectangular shape, and you'll be rolling it just like the walnut roll. That's 5 tablespoons of whole milk. And I'm just going to keep doing that, because you don't want it to be runny. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it into a pot, a big pot. It's probably the best way to go. You can put it in a saucepan if you've got a really big saucepan. And I'm going to boil this. I'm going to keep boiling this until at low boil, until it starts boiling at a slow boil. I'm just going to add 1 more, so that's 6 tablespoons, 6 and 7. And then I'm going to be cooking this up on the stove. So I'm going to transfer this over. So it's beginning to look more like a paste. It's going to look more, it's starting to stick together because of the sugar. Now, back in my great-grandmother's time, they would use a mortar and pestle made out of stone. And my mom has one of those at home, actually. She has one that was passed down from her mother. And it was her mother's, so it's my great-grandmother's mortar and pestle. So that's what they'd use. And that would be a very arduous task to crush this much poppy seeds. Okay, so it's looking quite sticky now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a large pot. And I've got one like this to put it in. So I'm just going to transfer this over into this pot, and I'm going to bring it to a slow boil. And then I'm going to take it off the stove. I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to get it ready for the dough. And I'm going to be spreading this on the dough because it's going to be a poppy seed roll. Okay, so I'm going to transfer that over to the stove, and I'm going to start off at low heat, and I'm going to making sure that you continually stir it because it could burn. So you want to be at a low heat and bring it to a boil, slow boil. So I'll be back to show you how to make the dough recipe. Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I'm preparing a recipe called poppy seed roll Mákos Bejgli, one of my family's favorite recipes that they made during Christmas holidays. So what I did was I added the poppy seed, the finely ground poppy seed, and 2 cups of sugar, 4 tablespoons of vanilla, rind of 2 lemons, and 1.5 cups of seedless golden raisins. And so I mixed it together with enough milk so the filling has a thick consistency. Now I've added about 7 when I showed you on the video, but I've also added a little bit more to it. So between 7 and 12 tablespoons of milk, and you can be doing that as you are stirring it at the stove. And I've started at a low heat, and I slightly brought it up a bit to about low to medium heat, and continually stirred it. So the filling should be sort of like a thick paste, because you're going to be spreading that on the rectangular slab when you're making the poppy seed roll. So it's important that it's not runny. So what I've done now is I'm mixed together, going to be mixing together some flour, baking powder, salt, and rind of 2 lemon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix that together. And I've already put the ingredients in there, the salt and the baking powder. So I've got the rind of 2 lemons in there, so I'm just going to stir that around, and the salt. So I'm just going to get this flour mixture ready. And you want to combine these together. And I'm using the pre-sifted flour already, so I've got the white flour, pre-sifted white flour for this recipe. Okay, and I'm just going to set that aside just for a minute. And then I've got the butter, and I've put out 2 cups of butter at room temperature, so it's nice and soft, it's easy to work with. So I'm going to be With an electric hand mixer, I'm going to combine the butter and the shortening and the sugar and vanilla and eggs and the rind of 1 lemon, and I've already put that in there already. I've sort of grated it and put it in the butter already. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the shortening, and that's also been at room temperature. So I'm going to add that there, and then I'm going to add, so I'm going to just start beating this at a low speed. Start off beating it at a low speed so it's easier to mix it. The butter and the shortening going here. It's nice and soft. Then I'm going to add the sugar. You want to start off with a large bowl, because when you're done with the wet ingredients and we've added all this the butter mixture, you want to be adding the flour to it. So you want to start with a large bowl, and you want to be putting your butter in there first and these ingredients in there first. Okay, and then we're going to add the eggs. So there's 3 eggs. Eggs, and I've used brown eggs today. I'm going to do it at a low speed. Not splattering all over the place. And then I'm going to add the vanilla. 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Smelling just great again with the vanilla in there. There is a lot of vanilla in this family recipe. Mom and grandmother likes to use a lot of vanilla in the flavoring. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding the flour to it by just using one of these measuring kind of tools to do that. So I'm just going to start off with 2 cups. And then I'm going to start off mixing the flour into the butter mixture by hand like that with a wooden spoon. And then when it gets to the right consistency, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hands in there and I'm going to be kneading it gently. I'm just going to continue doing this until it's not too soft, and then I'm going to be kneading it very gently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue doing that, and then I'm going to knead together the dough, and then I'm going to be coming back to show you what the consistency of the dough should look like. Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I'm now prepared the poppy seed rolls, so I cut out some parchment paper, some rectangular shaped parchment paper, and I rolled it out onto some parchment paper, and then I spread the poppy seed filling onto the rectangular slab. And this is what the poppy seed, the consistency should be like this, so that you'll be able to spread it onto the poppy seed roll. Okay, and then here I'm going to show you what the slabs look like. And so I took mounds of dough, and I rolled out the dough onto. I cut out a rectangular shape the size of a medium-sized cookie sheet, and then I rolled out the dough on that, and then I put the filling and spread it on the inside, and then I rolled the short end of the rectangular slab to make a roll. So this is what this looks like, and then I tucked in the sides, and then my mom and my grandmother would take one egg, so you need one whole egg, and then you beat it with a fork briskly, and you add some egg wash on the top, because this makes it kind of shiny and golden brown when you take it out of the oven. Gives it that shiny brown appearance to it. So, and then I just brush that over the top of each of these slabs with a brush. And then I'm going to put this into the oven. And I preheated the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to bake that for approximately 30 minutes, and then I'm going to then lower the temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and continue to bake the slabs for an additional 15 minutes, and then make sure that the top of the poppy seed rolls are brown, and they'll look really nice with the when you put that egg mixed egg on there. It just makes it look shiny and brown. Okay, and then I will come back in about 45 minutes, and I will show you what this great recipe looks like coming fresh out of the oven. And I'll cut up a slice and show you, and I'll also go over what kind of topping that you should put on it before you serve it to your guests. Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I had in the oven a recipe called Poppy Seed Roll Mákos Bejgli, and what I'd like to do is show you what it looks like coming fresh out of the oven, and I've cut up a few slices also to show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So I've already cut some up, and you can see that the poppy seed is in the center here, and then you just slice it carefully. And then I've put on a sprinkle of icing sugar and vanilla sugar, and the recipe is with my poppy seed roll recipe, so that the topping recipe is included in that. So, and then of course I'm going to show you what it looks like on a plate. And it looks just fantastic. So now I've sprinkled it with some icing sugar and vanilla sugar. So that's what this recipe looks like. And of course this is an embroidery, special embroidery from Hungary. And I think one of my aunts made this for me. She embroidered this for me while I was there, and she gave it to me as a gift. So it's sort of like a runner, table runner. So and of course the blouse and the apron is all hand embroidered too, and it was the apron was made by a dear friend of my mother's, and the blouse was also made by a friend of my mother's. So it's all handcrafted items, embroideries that you see on my website that have been made by family and friends. So if you have any questions or comments regarding this recipe, please feel free to contact me at irene@irenkaskitchen.com or irenkaskitchen.com. Until next time, bon appetit, jó étvágyat!